Oh, well, if it is not the Powerbotch Podcast, my name is John, BBG, and of course I'm always delightfully joined, may I add, by Freed, Triple
the
F.
fried one.
No, you're Triple F.
Yeah.
That fried life is gone.
I'm many names.
No, we got rid of the fried life. You're now the Triple F. I'm not allowing you to be the fried one anymore. We got canon.
I'm Quadruple F. Fiercely fighting the fried one.
Wait, you can't just put F's on things. You can't just put additional F's on things. I have the wrong segment up already because why not just botch everything from the get-go? But yes,
it's the gimmick.
It's the gimmick. It's the gimmick of John forgetting to click the right button at times. But anyway, how are you doing though, Freed? Have you had a good week so far?
I'm doing wonderful. How about you, my friend?
Oh, it's been a week. These shifting dynamites are not making it easy for us to try and there's so many. We've had a nice rhythm for like the longest while, and it just felt like that. We had a Dynamite on Saturday. We had a Dynamite technically yesterday, but we always watch a day after, so we're always kind of a day in lieu. And it's just not felt like we've had like a nice space. And then we're not really going to have much of a great sort of like rest next week because we got Dynamite, yes, back on for now anyway, the same day. But then we got All Out on Saturday. And I might be staying up to watch that live, at least once watch it live because I want to watch it live. Because I enjoy doing it. I enjoy staying up in the middle of the night and doing that there. But it just feels frantic, right?
Yeah, it does. It does. I had to get up a little bit earlier today just to make sure I finished Dynamite.
Yeah, like you were like messaging me going like blah 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 about this match, and I don't want to specify anything till we get to those moments right now. But I was like, yeah, that was really like that. And I was thinking, he's already feckin' watched it, and it's like 10 o'clock in the morning. What the hell? Like I was having that moment.
I messaged you at 1 p.m. Okay.
Was it 1? I thought it was earlier than that. To be fair, my ability to track time, because I'm gonna get a little inside baseball here. I'm gonna let people behind the curtain. I watch Dynamite when I should be doing work. Well, I'm still doing work, but I very much multitask watching Dynamite while doing my 9-to-5 job, and so there's a balancing act there a little bit sometimes. Where it usually should take me like 2 hours, so I would typically watch Dynamite. Probably takes me closer to 4. Because it's just like, right, I got to pause this now because I have to do this thing. Okay, now I've got like a spare 5 minutes. Let's go.
Yeah, I usually watch it during lunch break and during dinner. But I didn't want to start watching it during dinner tonight because, like, podcast at 7 p.m. for me.
Oh, that's a cut. That's super fit. That was kind of like me last Sunday when we were doing the last podcast where I was kind of like, God damn, because I was like, okay, I got to get the thumbnail done. Gotta get the stream set up. Gotta watch the podcast. And then like the fucking show ends at like I think I stopped watching like maybe an hour beforehand. I was like, oh, cut that pretty close. I might want to go eat now.
Let's not turn the show into the first world problem podcast. Let's start with a bang and talk about Dynamite. How about that?
Yes, let's get into
hot gauntlet match for the #1 contendership for the I was going to say TNT tag team titles, but they're the AEW tag team titles.
That's an interesting way of calling them, TNT tag team titles.
Yeah, so many T's there. I love it.
Yeah, it's got a good mouthfeel. That sounds weird, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Do you have a good mouthfeel on your podcast? A great mouthfeel. Yeah. What a interesting, again, we always said is they always started off really hot. They always go in pretty fucking crazy with these angles. A great start to Dynamite. Went all over the place, you ask me. Some things I didn't see coming. Some things that were just very, like, you had a theory last week that it was going to end in a, I want to say, a count out or some sort of kind of like a kiboshed end where you'd have both FTR and the Bucks qualifying for the title at All Out. But no, we didn't have that. Do you want to gloss over what actually did happen for us, Mr. Freed?
Yeah, what happened at first, the hottest of hot things, Chris Jericho came out, and we had a crowd, 10 to 15% capacity. That's like 500 people there in the Daily's place. And they sang Judas. And I have to be honest, I got a little bit teary watching this. Although I'm very against having fans there at the moment, I can't deny it felt really, really good to have the crowd sing the song.
Yeah, I was the same. I was like trying not to tear. Jericho was trying not to tear. You could tell everyone was not trying not to tear. Just this moment of like, oh God, oh, sweet taste of actual wrestling's back. Oh my God.
Yeah. And getting actual wrestling chants back. I missed them.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
So
But
good.
yeah, starting the match, the Young Bucks versus the Natural Nightmares. A little bit offense here for Dustin and QT, but the Bucks very much had this match in the pockets, dominated, and won in 5 minutes with the BTE trigger. Pin QT Marshall. Yeah, it was an interesting, quick, good opener, hot, which leads to the Young Bucks versus the Best Friends. Early on in the match, Chucky T lands from a jump from turnbuckle. Kind of his knee buckles a little bit. Knee injury. That's kind of important later on. Yeah.
It's Sue's car right there.
Best Friends get the control of the match, isolate Nick Jackson. He gets eventually the hot tag of the German on the apron. Soul Food half and half, but they go for the hug instead of the pin. That's interesting. The commitment to gimmick instead of trying to win the match. I think that's not the first time that kind of came back to bite them, hasn't it?
It's happened quite a few times, and it's happened like I think at least once about 2 months ago, and happened quite a bit when we had like big crowds in the vicinity as well.
But then the stuff happens why we actually need to talk about this. Meltzer driver attempt, but who comes out? Hangman Adam Page holds Matt Jackson's leg on the apron, so he can't do the Meltzer driver. Nick gets rolled up, 1, 2, 3. Hangman Page eliminated the Young Bucks.
Yeah, that's the thing I did not see coming. You said Meltzer driver. I don't know if it's the Meltzer driver or the Indie Taker. Are they the same thing, or is it different moves? Like, what the heck?
The difference is the Meltzer driver is a flip. The Indie Taker is just jumping into the spiking pile driver.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, that's all the difference there is.
Jesus. You always wonder why they have 2 separate moves for it, but quite a shocking event.
The joke is that Meltzer gives more stars when you add more flips.
Oh, God damn it! Okay, right, I get it now. Shocking twist in the match though. Like I knew there was going to be some sort of like weirdness to it, but oh God, that caught me off guard. That caught me way off guard.
Yeah. And it's actually a great payoff for the story. They've been building this since November. And call back to last week's show, like when FDR talked with Adam Page, and we talked about this. They sowed these little seeds of dissent and planted ideas in Page's head about what if the Young Bucks win, right? I really enjoyed this. This elevated the match so much for me.
I enjoyed it, but I was also kind of like, Hangman, I loved you. Why did you do this to me? Hangman? Like I actually felt a little bit of my heartbreak. Like I sit here and I wear Bullet Club t-shirts a lot of time. You know, I've been with Hangman since the ROH days, since the goddamn New Japan days. You know, it's just like when you see like these fragments start to splinter off, it's really heartbreaking, if I'm honest. Like, I'm really invested at this point.
I think we talk about Adam Page a little bit later on in the show after another segment. Let's continue on with the match.
Yeah.
Best Friends versus FTR with Tully Blanchard. They focus on Chucky T's leg, which is injured. Like, isolate the weak link, isolate the body part, work it. And I think the finish... it caught me by surprise, and I think it caught the announcers by surprise as well, because they were in the middle of promoting something, talking about something else. Oh, Chucky T just tapped out. Whoops.
You know what? And I really enjoyed the move. It was like a reverse sort of like figure four, wasn't it? Like it was kind of like we kind of done a figure four, but like from a different angle. And I really quite enjoyed it because it looked like such a brutal brutal maneuver. Like, it looks like such a great stretch on the legs. I was like, oh, why isn't people more people doing it like this? This is great. This looks devastating.
Yeah, and kind of looked like he had a ankle lock going on there as well.
Yeah, like it looked like it just really, really was just awful to be in. But yeah, as you mentioned, Sue's car paid off. We ended up seeing them work that leg to the point where the submission was the logical win. And maybe it was one of those situations where like the announcers didn't think that such a simple move was going to be the payoff.
Yeah.
You know, because I don't know how much they talk about, or not the announcers, the commentary. I don't know how much they talk about the match. Do you know much behind that, or do you know if they talk about the match in any great length to the commentators to kind of get certain things over? Like, how does that work?
I don't have insight. I've never worked for a big promotion.
I'd love to pick a brain of someone. If there's anyone ever randomly watching out there who wants to educate me, I'll fucking take it.
Well, I guess in WWE they know a lot about the stuff because there are plenty of stories about wins being in their ear. So
yeah, I guess that's true. Where I'd want to know if that's like a thing in other promotions, like smaller promotions as well as non-WWE affiliated promotions.
Yeah, I think especially on a lot of indie shows, like the announcers just do their thing. It's play-by-play.
Which makes the most sense because, again,
I mean, you can find plenty of clips about a shocking finish and the announcers not knowing what to do. Like they didn't, because they weren't told what's going to happen, so they can't even fill the audience in.
God. You're right. I would just love to know what there's got to be some communication, obviously, but I would just love to know what the extent is. Then we have the next match, which is Lance Archer versus the Jobber, which is not even the biggest point of that match. Like, that match is like a non.
Dude, one thing, the Jobber, Sean Maluta, apparently he's been in the Cruiserweight Classics in WWE. I don't remember this guy at all.
No, never do I. I watched those. You talk about the Cruiserweight Classic with like Kota Ibushi and whatnot, when Kota Ibushi won, or
I don't look further into it. Probably the second one, because the first one was a banger.
Yeah, the first one, like the one with Kota Ibushi was like, God damn, Kota, my boy. But no, I didn't recognize him at all. You know, again, we kind of got what we expected. Just Lance destroys a guy. It's really simple. I'm not going to go into it too much. I did like the line from JR saying Jake is almost orgasmic when he was talking about Jake the Snake, and I was like, God damn it, JR. What are these lines you say sometimes? Weird, man. Did you notice the very strange gesture that Jake the Snake also made to someone at ringside?
No.
And I just don't know why I always notice this stuff, but I've got a mind for detecting filth 200 mile away. And he cracks a V and puts his tongue for it at someone at ringside. And I'm like, oh, Jake, you're old. Don't do that. I don't need to see that on my TV. I don't even think that was a heel move because they were going to the break. So like,
you only do that when you're Mickey James at WrestleMania.
Yeah. So it's the only time you're allowed to do that. Yeah, it was an interesting, weird promo because like they're pretty much hyping up the Battle Royale, and then Taz comes out and he starts.
Well, we probably should mention there's a casino battle royale or royal as JR.
There's the, I'm gonna call it the annual casino battle royale. There seems to be one at every all event, and the reason I say all event is because we've had an all in and an all out. But yeah, they're pretty much talking. Well, Jake the Snake talks up, Lance Archer. Taz then comes out with Ricky Starks and Brian Cage, and I did not expect to see Brian Cage and Lance Archer kind of being like the key figures in that feud for them, because I was like, they're two heels. This makes no sense.
Yeah.
And then Ricky's obviously there as well because Ricky Stark is part of Taz's faction, and he's trying to big up his boys.
I do love that the Chess Express has their own entrance theme.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have to admit, I kind of got hyped when Brian Cage and Lance Archer stood across each other.
I would love to see. It's a big hoss match in the making. It's just it's just weird to see like as a heel format instead of like a heel face format.
All the big guys are heels in AEW.
Yeah,
Wardlow, Jack Swagger, Jake Hager. Sorry,
Hager, yes.
Yeah,
Brian, Lance. All you're not wrong there. The only one that's not is Luchasaurus.
Oh, and Dustin, and I guess Billy Gunn.
Yeah, but he's technically a coach
really
though. He's kind of a coach though. Then we have Darby come out of nowhere and go right after Ricky Starks, and I'm just watching him lay into Ricky Starks. I'm just thinking, Brian, Taz, you're right there. Are you not going to stop this? Are you going to let Ricky get treated like a little bitch? Like, what the hell's going on here?
They saw how Darby Allin kicked Ricky Starks right out of his shoes, and they thought, "Wow, I don't want a piece of that."
It's like I was just looking at it, going, you have the numbers advantage. You also have the Brian Cage advantage. What's going on here? Like that kind of that's the one thing I was just like, what the hell?
I think Brian Cage was occupied with Lance Archer because Jake had to hold Lance Archer back from attacking Cage.
True, but it felt weird though. I felt like there was too much going on there, like almost a little bit overbooked. I was like, I know what you're doing, but you haven't let it breathe. You have to let this breathe a bit more. And I don't know about you, but like if my mate was getting attacked by someone and getting rinsed, and there's just some guy being a bit boisterous, I would probably ignore the guy being a bit boisterous and empty the person going for my mate. You know, just like real life logic implying in there. It's like, I don't know. To me, that was a little bit overbooked.
I get what you're saying. I kind of felt the same way. There was a lot going on there.
I would love to see a proper what's the word I'm looking for, promo battle between Jake and Taz though. I think that could be really good. I feel like that coming out the thing I wanted out of that segment's where I feel like that's building. I feel like something's going to build there. Like
kind of when Arn Anderson and Jake had their face off before the title match.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
That was great, and that was kind of like old masters just doing the gift of the gab, and I would love to see that.
Yeah.
Then we have like I'm going to call it a segue, an MJF segue, which is not an unseen or unheard of thing. He's done it before when he's doing his segments, and then he asks Lee if he thinks Lee being the guy who he's not the guy that holds the gum. He's the guy who got pushed last time, which was a reference to when MJF was in NXT. I'm trying to remember what the reference is for this here. For some reason, when he was asking for something funny, I thought maybe the only thing I could think of was like a play off the idea of like Vince McMahon when he was like walking to his car crash or his car bombing, and he had like, I can't remember who it was, but he had like the biggest smile on his face.
Yeah, I don't think maybe it wasn't a reference at all. It was just MJF being MJF.
Fair. After I got one reference, like, is this where this goes?
After that, we get a little hype promo package for the women's title match. Notably, the voice of Billy Corgan throughout the video. You've been speculating a little bit last week about the potential partnership between NWA and AEW there. And Billy Corgan seemed really cordial and happy to work with them for this match. Yeah.
Which is really interesting because they don't have PAR going on at the minute.
Yeah.
So
I think Billy Corgan is just happy to keep NWA kind of in the news, people speaking about it for when they come back. I don't really see it as like a deep partnership, but that's just my take.
Yeah, you never know. I'm hopeful though. I'm hopeful because
I mean, AEW needed a credible challenger for the women's title. Like I said last week, bringing in another champion instantly gives that person credibility, and that's a win-win for both parties there.
And I'm actually really keen to see what I've not watched Thunder Rosa before. I'm really keen to see what she's capable of. I've not watched any of her stuff on NWA PAR, but I've heard great things, so I'm excited. Mm-hmm. I'm actually starting to get quite excited now for that match. I'm actually kind of like going, oh, okay, we got a matchup. Okay, I'm for this.
And during this promo package, they show the contract signing between them, which is kind of interesting because right after this promo package is the contract signing between MJF and Mox, and this is like this 15 minutes promo juxtaposed to this. Oh yeah, they signed a contract too.
Yeah. I mean, it's just bridging segments. They love doing that now. They're very thematic on their segments. I'm noticing they love doing stuff like that.
Contract signing MJF and Moxley. MJF has his whole entourage there, of course. What I really like is MJF addresses that we have all seen a million contract signings, which we have. I'm not the biggest fan of those segments. And he says, yeah, we all know they will end in physicality. Yeah. And they trade insults a bit. Then MJF goes into this long monologue, and basically what it comes down to is that MJF says he won't get dragged down into a brawl with Moxley. He will make this a pro wrestling match, and Moxley can't wrestle. He is not as good as a pro wrestler as MJF. And he ends his little monologue with this killer line. Well, if you're not man enough to sign this contract, maybe you should tell your hot wife I'm single.
You know what? I gotta give him, like, he done some good stuff just before that as well. Like the stuff with the way he referenced some of actual legends from wrestling across the spectrum. We had like Sandman. We had not legend New Jack. I'm gonna get killed for saying that.
Yeah, he's coming after you.
He's coming after you for that one. You had like John Danzig, Onita. Then you had like traditional wrestlers like Buddy Rogers, Ernie Ladd, Tully. You had like a nice sort of. It was a nice referential bit there, and that line about his hot wife just took me off guard. It's like, oh, what did you just say?
Yeah.
Just kind of like hot fired and that just cheeky insult at the end. I was like, great, this is brilliant.
It is. And Mox gets his chance to answer, and he says he doesn't need the paradigm shift. He wants to drop MJF on his head a couple of dozen times, which I liked. But what MJF like thinks he's doing is that he's taking away Mox's most dangerous weapon. But what he's really doing is forcing Moxley to get creative, and Moxley kind of lists all the ways in which he's going to damage MJF. So in a way, he's kind of more dangerous now that he doesn't have the paradigm shift. And then he closes his promo with saying, nothing you say matters and nothing I sign matters. On September the 5th, you are a dead man. And
that felt powerful.
That felt really powerful. Kind of echoing the promos he's been, the promos he... Words. It echoes the other promos he cut on MJF in the last couple of weeks. Yeah, and he signs the contract, the entire posse celebrates. And then, now this seemed kind of weird to me. Turns out Moxley added a 17th page, and neither MJF nor the lawyer read the contract before signing, apparently. And this 17th page says that next week Mox gets to wrestle the lawyer with the paradigm shift, and if the lawyer doesn't show up, MJF forfeits his match. To me, this is hokey S-word.
That was something I wasn't expecting, and like when they celebrated, I thought that they may have put an underhanded clause into it.
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
Yeah, same.
Like I thought it was a bait and switch, but then we ended up getting Moxley was the one doing the bait and switch, and it lends a lot of water to the theory that I said last week that I thought that lawyer was previously a wrestler.
Yeah.
So now we're now seeing that there, which is good. It's a bit hokey, but you know what? I'll take a John Moxley squash match next week just if it looks funny. If it looks fun, I'll be happy for it. You know?
Yeah. Let's see what they actually make of it. Yeah.
True. Next match, if I remember correctly, is the 8-man tag. Am I right?
Well, we get a short promo by Santana and Ortiz.
I wasn't sure if that was a promo or not. That was the only thing. Like, it was so weird.
Yeah.
It didn't felt promo to me. It just felt like, because there's no match with Santana and Ortiz against the best friends yet at all. But then again, we have next week, so there could be it was weird. I didn't know what to consider that. But yeah, like they talk about the fact that they're not going to apologize for the car again, and just the stuff we kind of heard before.
Oh, they apologize for Trans Mom not being in the when they wrecked it, homeboy.
Did you guys literally quote that word for word at me?
I don't know if it was word for word, but
I think they're in a lot of danger. They're going after Sue. We know how over she is. They got to be careful. We got fans in the crowd now. We have that like 8-man tag though, and the 8-man tag, kind of what I was expecting. There was there's a lot of back and forth, but like the end of the day, you know, Butcher and Blade, and obviously the Lucha Bros get the better of it. You know, it's a shame because like Brian Pillman kind of eating shit again. And he's a great wrestler, but he's the one who kind of takes the pin on this. Not even Griff Garrison took the pin, and Griff Garrison's in the match. And that you could argue that he's a status jobber more than Brian Pillman, because the commentary are talking up Brian Pillman like he's the second coming of his dad. It's such a weird thing. I'm like,
but that's the point. You don't want to give him special treatment just because he's the son of his father, right?
True, but it's just one of those ones where it's like, he's had a lot of crap, and I know it's not. Yeah. I know they're not burying him because he's not really their talent, and he's no doubt super appreciated. I just kind of like, you could have given it to Griff. Griff wouldn't have been too harmed by this. We're like, Brian Pillman's a name. He is a name, you know. He's but that it kind of leads on to this very simple promo by Eddie Kingston, who's just great at promos, and again he alludes to the Battle Royale. And the thing he says that, you know, 5 of them are going to be in the Battle Royale and one of them is going to win it.
Yeah.
And what kind of went through my head in that there is like, it finally clicked. It's like, I see why you got these guys together. I see why you winked at the camera last week. You're using them as a vehicle to win that Battle Royale.
Oh, that's the way you read that. I kind of figured, like, with the promo he cut before the match, right? He says that they're not a faction. They know each other a long time. I kind of got like La Familia vibes, like a Latino gang, you know?
Yeah, I can see that there, but it was the cheeky wink the previous week, and then it kind of just made me think he's an opportunist. He's taking his relationship with these people and he's using it to his advantage. And what's his immediate? Because I always thought, like, he's not a manager, he's a wrestler. So what? How is this going to work? Like, how is this going to work? And he says he's not a faction, and then I start thinking, oh, he's just using them to get the title match because strength in numbers.
Yeah, that's a really good call. I didn't think about it that way, but now that you laid it out like that, yeah, that makes total sense. And like you said, there are 5 guys in a match of 20. They are 25% of the participants.
Yeah, like, they have
which means none of them is going to win, of course. But
oh, definitely not. But you know, don't be surprised if at least 2 of them are in the last 4, essentially. You know, and
might be,
and I'd be willing to put money that Eddie is going to be one of those 2.
If we fantasy book Eddie Kingston and Ray Phoenix, probably, because he said the most about him last week.
Yeah, true. Then we go into the Dark Order's celebration.
Mm-hmm.
What a weird celebration for the first half, don't you think?
Extremely weird, and like especially the lawnmowers mowers of lawn. They bought
lawn, the car
with their prize money. Like if you don't watch Being the Elite, like
you want to know what that's about.
Neither did I, because I don't watch every episode.
I watch every episode, but I knew what it was about. But if you don't, I'm saying you wouldn't know what that was about.
Yeah. I had to look up why. Basically, It
was like they got, like, in BTE they've got like a thing where they have scored a deal to sponsorship from Chili's, and have been paid ridiculous amounts by Chili's, the restaurant. And they had a part of the segment in BTE where like they're going like, "What did you buy your money?" And like at one point, Brody Lee just cut this stupid promo going, "I bought 5 lawns to mow the lawn I don't have," and then he's like, "Fuck you, Hangman." It's like a weird inside joke against Hangman Page and his lawnmower. And it's like, what the hell? He's actually paid for these lawnmowers for this bit?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't know that, it makes Dark Order look incredibly goofy, to be honest. Like, flanked with those lawnmowers and gushing over them.
Plus the way he treats John Silver as well. If you didn't watch BTE, you would know that John Silver gets absolutely rinsed by Brody every episode of BTE. Like, I guess that makes sense why they're promoting it so heavily now on the show. Like, you'll find that they do, like, little lower thirds for it every so often, and you'll hear Shivani talking about going to watch it on YouTube.
Yeah.
But it is such a weird thing to put in there.
Yeah. Well, anyway, besides the mowers of lawn, they carry a coffin, and they're doing this little dance from the meme with the pallbearers, you know?
Yes.
Extremely goofy as well, like seeing those guys in those gimp masks doing the meme dance. But yeah, they carry a coffin laying it out on the stage. Evil Uno cuts a little promo. And yeah, basically what it comes down to, where could Cody Rhodes be? Open the coffin. They open the coffin, someone is laying there, you can't see his face. Is it Cody? No, it's 10. Everybody is laughing. What a funny joke. Yeah. Basically, they say they buried the Nightmare family, they closed the coffin, they have a Nightmare family flag they lay on top of the coffin, proper burial. Yeah, and all hail your new TNT champion. Brody Lee comes out. And I've been talking for a long time. Do you want to take over?
Yeah, so you have Brody Lee comes out, and he has essentially... he kind of just talks about the idea that the open challenge is no longer a thing. No independents are going to come in and work unless he allows it. Kind of goes against the theory I had last week, but that's fine. It plays into his domineering character. We're introduced to Anna Jay now as the Queen Slayer, so some regicide in there, I guess. John Silver, as I alluded to, acts up a little bit and gets decked. Just absolutely rinsed. But the big thing happens is that we do have semblance of the Nightmare family come out, and we have obviously the Natural Nightmares with QT and Dustin come out and trying to break up this little love fest that they're having. Then we have Scorpio Sky, which I thought was a very interesting person to come out, and I don't know why, because I haven't really seen him like that with the Nightmare family. Maybe they bonded over that championship match he had with Cody, like a sense of...
I found it odd that he came out as well. My headcanon is he's after the TNT title right now. That's his goal for the moment. So he's more after Brody Lee at the moment.
And then you have Matt Cardona, which does make sense because Matt Cardona is one of Cody's closest friends behind the scenes. It's no secret to anyone, not even the general kayfabe audience. It's not really a secret to, and they managed to clear out and take control, which is interesting. But like this happens after like Brody Lee kind of ushers Colt and Anna away.
And interestingly, he takes Anna's hand and walks out with her. Like,
yeah.
He acts differently towards her, right?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like the eye candy, or like how do you want to call it? Like not eye candy, but like the piece on the arm, like the
first lady, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. Like, I mean, it is the first lady of the Dark Order, so it is interesting.
Yeah, she's literally the first lady of the Dark Order. That's true.
What a weird way to put it, though.
Yeah. And like you said, Colt Cabana is ushered out as well. He doesn't participate in the beatdown.
He never has.
Again?
They've been very good about sheltering him. And I, you know what? Just throwing out this here. Just throwing out a theory. Colt Cabana is going to be one that takes that title off Brody.
Interesting.
I feel like I feel like the long-term storytelling, and you can mark my words right now. Blue in the chat, who's just saying hello, Blue. You can mark my words. We are going to see an internal sort of morality struggle with Cult over time. I don't think this is going to be a short-term angle, but I think long-term, they're going to have that morality struggle, and we're going to see a sort of slaying of the beast from an internal perspective. Like, I feel like Cult will be the one who rises up and finally takes down Brody. And I don't know if it'll be like a full-time, long-term thing, but I feel like he'll be the person that takes that belt off him. I feel like that's where it makes the most sense.
Foundation of that could be laid at All Out, because it was announced we get an 8-man tag team match, Dark Order versus Scorpio Sky, Natural Nightmares, Matt Cardona, and it is reported that Brody Lee, Colt Cabana, and Evil Uno and Stu Grayson will be representing Dark Order in this match.
I feel like this is the part where they solidify his trust. So because they talked about Anna Jay being part of formerly Dark Order now, where I feel like this will be his initiation. But then I got a feeling as we make our way to Revolution, maybe even to Double or Nothing next year, is where we start to really see the internal struggle and Cult's morality start to waver or conflict with the ideas of what the Dark Order are. That's just my assumption, though.
Kind of his initiation match was against SCU. Colt Cabana still is.
But they still haven't called him a member of it yet, though, and he still ushers them away from it, where, like, Anna's still, like, Anna's more than happy to get in and do violent things, and they're happy for her to do that in front of Brody, where they're still trying to usher him away from that side.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I was kind of setting something up because he kind of turned on SCU. Remember, he originally came in to defend SCU from the Dark Order. Then he fought them. And now maybe that's why Scorpio Sky is in the mix of that, because he will face off against Colt Cabana in the 8-man tag.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of like the final nail in that coffin. It's like, prove to me that you are part of the Dark Order. Prove to me that you're a winner. You know, that sort of plays off that there, like, because there has been some, because even in that match with SCU, he was still like trying to be friendly. He's like, look, I'm just doing the thing to win the match. This is nothing personal. Where, like, I feel like now the seeds of real tension and hatred are going to be put into it now. And that's where we're going to find Colt Cabana with a U, not with an O. But yeah. What do we have next?
I think next up is probably the most interesting and talked about segment of the show. Dasha's backstage interviewing Paige. A little attention to detail on the bar counter are 2 beers next to Hangman Page's whiskey.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. And the Bucks come in addressing the beers. Are you waiting for someone? Possibly FTR, known beer drinkers. And the Bucks cut an amazing promo on Hangman Adam Page, basically saying, this is all about your own insecurities. We just wanted to have a friend. You have always been good enough for us and stuff like that. You're nothing but a drunk. Kind of to hammer it home. That's something that's always been in this dissension storyline. They throw the drink into Paige's face. Since November, we've been hanging on to you, they say. This is something you want, because remember back in November, Paige said he wants to leave the Elite.
Yeah, I remember that.
And the Bucks say, no, we're done with you. You are out of the Elite. They storm out. They throw the door shut. You hear something shattering. And then you have this beautiful framed shot of the door, and the window on the door is broken. You see the reflection of Paige, kind of the broken man right now.
Beautiful symbolism, and it near brought a tear to my eye, because again, I've been so, like, the Elite's been part of my wrestling sort of smorgasbord for at least the last few years now. The Elite, I followed them from ROH and New Japan. I watched them as I watched the Young Bucks and Kenny and stuff, like, go through all the stuff they went through. The rise of, like, Kenny's sort of run with Okada and all those matches, and Adam Page has always been there with them in some sort of way or form. And there's been some splinters, like we did have like way back in New Japan, we had the Bullet Club faction war between Cody and Kenny when it was the Battle of the Leaders, and Adam Page was on Cody's side and against the Bucks, so it's not like this is the first time. Well, the Bucks were with Cody as well at one point, but it's not the first time there's been an internal struggle, but they've always made up. They've never kicked anyone out of the elites like that, and then suddenly it happened, and I'm sitting there like going, oh man, I don't know what to say to this. It's like,
yeah,
you can't do this. No, he's not perfect, but he's still the elite. Come on. It's like, I started getting really like down on that at one point. I was like, no, I like this. Don't take this from me. But it makes sense. It's good. Well, put it this way. The story writing was well. It elicited the emotion. It done its job. Thank you. Break my heart, why don't you?
Yeah. I've seen it on the internet that people call it a heel turn of Hangman Adam Page. I didn't really see it as a heel turn per se.
No, I didn't see the heel turn either. Because, like, there's regret in his actions in that match. Like, when you watch him, he can't look the Bucks in the eye.
Yeah.
There's deep sorrow and regret in that. A heel turn is usually driven by, like, a raw emotion and, like, you're proud of it or you're invested in it and you don't question it. It's you finally getting to do the thing you wanted to do. Where when I feel like when it happens with like Adam Page, it's like no, he hated every second of that. It felt wrong.
Yeah, and they kind of explained everything that's going on inside Adam Page over the last couple of weeks. Like, he feels like he's in the shadows of the Bucks or in the shadow of the Elite even. That's why he wanted to get out in November. He wanted to prove he's his own man, so to speak. And FTR like perfectly played all the right notes to get into his head. And he didn't want to do that. Like you said, he was very conflicted about doing it, but he had those insecurities. He had this fear in his mind of living in their shadow that he felt compelled to do it, but he didn't like the side of him.
No, and that to me just doesn't come across as like a heel turn to me. It doesn't feel right.
Right.
Our next match, if I remember correctly, is the most boring match of the whole damn night.
Hold on, I gotta piss.
Cool, no worries. I'll take over.
Nope. Remember when Divas matches were called piss break matches?
Yeah, the Mania piss break matches. That's used to be the thing.
I hate to say it, but this match was piss poor.
It was piss poor, and it didn't have to be piss poor. This is the problem. Like, Rebel knows how to wrestle. Rebel is a very well-established and great wrestler on the indies.
Penelope Ford knows how to wrestle.
Yeah.
We saw against Sheeta. She's very good.
She's very good. Yet they made them both wrestle like they were a fish out of water, and it made no sense. Like, Rebel was like cagey in a way that, and I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to make her seem like she's not a wrestler, but why? Why are you trying to make this woman look like she's not a wrestler? She's wrestled before. Makes no sense.
And on top of that, Britt Baker is supposed to be in a wrestling match in 9 days. At the time of recording the show, right?
So
in 9 days, and she's still in a wheelchair with braces and stuff like that.
It's like, why are you pissing this up the wall? Like we said two months ago, Britt Baker was the best thing on the show, and now Britt Baker is boring me to tears.
Yeah.
Why have they done this? Oh, I don't know. Like, it was like, there's a lot of kerfuffles. Someone gets hit with a crutch, and then next thing you know, Britt Baker's facing Swole at a match at her time and choosing, which will probably be All Out. We can speculate. It'll probably be announced next week, but I don't care about this match now.
And it will be a dumpster fire match. The only way to win is put your opponent in a dumpster.
Yeah, it's not like we're dumping enough people and All Out in the things they shouldn't be in, but sure. What a terrible
you mean... That would at least be a callback. Like, remember when Big Swole kidnapped Britt Baker and put her in a dumpster? perfect stipulation to choose for this match.
Yeah, at least it makes sense, I guess. There's an element to it. We don't even get a chance to go into the next match. There's another small mini segment. I would even call it a segue. Dark Order reach out to Tia Conti, formerly of NXT, offer her a Dark Order contract. She hugs Anna Jay, but she still looks apprehensive about the contract. So that's interesting. We might be getting more female talent into Dark Order, which then confirms that Tia Conti is All Elite now. She's formally signed. Like, they wouldn't have done that if they weren't going to sign her.
Probably.
So
and we should mention that she was Anna Jay's partner during the whatever it's called tournament
the Deadly Draw
last couple of weeks. Yeah, that.
So there is that, and she must have. So she's getting signed on. She's a great wrestler. No problem with that. There, we need good wrestlers in the women's division, and you know what? It's interesting. At least the Dark Order is going to be a robust group of and have divisions all over the place, which is good. And then we go into the last match of the night, which was a. Have you seen attempted murder in a match? Because I think this is the first time I saw attempted murder in a match that wasn't some CZW or some sort of Japanese deathmatch division.
I think Roman Reigns on one occasion tried to kill Braun Strowman, but
was that when he hit him with a car, or was that when he... Okay.
But yeah. Well, before we get into the proper match, I like that they made clear the rules of the tables match. It's you only win the match, or rather you don't lose the match when you go through the table by your own volition.
Yeah, it has
if
to
you
be
throw yourself through the table, you don't lose. I like that they made this clear, and it's a much better match this way, and you get a lot more table spots this way.
Yeah, it means that just a lot of the stuff that would, because the match would ended very prematurely if that wasn't made the case.
During picture-in-picture.
Yeah, during picture-in-picture. Yeah, like, I mean, Sammy Guevara, and I have my notes. See my whole notes? The whole notes is just, like, each shit. Like, anytime someone goes for a table, it's like, each shit is what I put in there. And, like, he had a big old bowl of it, because that head wound he sustained, because, like, I saw what happened. Like, the table obviously splintered off and then, like, cut the side of his... side of Sammy's head. Oof.
Headline: Matt Hardy shoots on Sammy Guevara to get revenge for a chair shot.
If he tried at one point, he did chuck a chair at him, and this is before that even happened. Like, he did legitimately throw the chair at him.
He did. Yeah, and like I said, top Con Halo from Sammy Guevara through the table, like big bump he took there. Almost went through another with a shotgun drop kick. Matt Hardy dodged out of the way, and yeah, Sammy starts bleeding profusely.
just wild. There's a lot
of a side effect on the apron, which looked
brutal. Both words, like brutal.
Yeah.
There's like table spots galore. We have like one point, Matt puts himself through. We're trying to do a running elbow off the ring apron.
Then Sammy gets a chair. He tries to hit Hardy.
Yeah.
Hardy gets the chair. He puts Sammy's head through the chair. Twist of fate. And I think that's what you called attempted murder earlier.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at, because I was just like, one slipped move and Sammy was dead.
Yeah, I had to watch this about a dozen times to get all the nuances of that bump. It was incredible. And that's the first holy S-word chant we've been getting in half a year now almost.
It felt great.
I loved it.
It felt great. We have, but then obviously we have like a corner spot. Like Matt tries to do an aerial offensive move. Sammy grabs him, does a successful superplex for once, and ends the match with a superplex into the chair and table. Like, he gets Matt with the chair and table. Do you notice that? Because the chair buckles as well. I was like, I don't think that was healthy. I think that was bad. I just want to call out, Blue in the chat says the best attempted example of murder he saw was Undertaker versus Berserker. I can't remember the year of that match though. Can you? Can't remember that one. If you can drop us the details on that, Blue, I'd love to know. I'm drawing a blank on that one. But that's not even the things. That's not even the segment done. We have Did you see like the weird camera angle that caught the start of this? Like,
Yeah.
Was it like just like a weird denim blur in your one? That's what it felt like to me. It was like, oh, we got a Sonic the Hedgehog ship like an orange ship right over there.
Sonic the Cassidy, he was really fast, wasn't he?
That was super
a
fast.
sprint. Yeah. And like it felt like JR and Schiavone were legit surprised by it.
JR sounded pissed off. He's like, God damn it, what are you doing? Because you can see the backdrop behind him and all was ruined as well. I think he must have leaped at him. I think he just like cleared the desk.
Yeah, he must have cleared the table and just speared Jericho into the scenery.
Great. You know what? We've been saying the last few weeks that they need to kind of let them two separate for a while and let them do their own thing. But I was kind of like, oh, this is great. This is brilliant. Beat the crap out of him. You know? I was like, this is amazing. Why was there not more of this? I don't know why. Yeah. I was like last week. I was like, oh, can we stop with these two already? You're not letting them have time off. This is starting to become tried, and now I'm like, beat the crap out of him, Orange.
Yeah, and they have basically this great pull-apart brawl. Refs pulling them apart from each other, then they're jumping each other again, like rolling on the floor, trying to get into the mount position, just hammering down. And yeah, that's how we go off air. What
a way to go off air! Like, I mean, wow.
I'm still not hyped for this stupid mimosa whatever.
I think the match is going to be super stupid. Like, don't get me wrong, super stupid. But if we see an Orange fight like that, I'm like, oh, this is great. This is great. I was kind of like, I'm conflicted, right? I feel like they keep doing that match too much, but I'm also kind of like, oh, this is so good. Oh, this is so good. I'm conflicted. Apologies.
Yeah.
Apparently that Undertaker Berserker match was 91-92. That was a bit before I was watching wrestling. I didn't get into like 94, 95. I think it was just about Brett's run. Yeah. I don't know, but I'll have to check that. I'll have to check that out, Blue. But yeah, overall, what did you think of the show, Mr. Freed?
We talked about this earlier. I think I'm fine with going with a 4. When I talked to you, I said as soon as this Britt Baker segment hit the screen, I was instantly down, and it dragged the entire show down for me because it drained me emotionally. But there was so much interesting stuff going on there, like especially the Hangman Page stuff. This is a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I got to say a 4 out of 5. Like, I was in the same place. Like, it felt like if you were kind of like watching like a bar graph of how that show went, it was like, and then as you get towards Britt Baker, oh, it's like a little dip. It was like it's just like a weird blip, like a seismic terror or a seismic like point of the scale just went off, and just a tectonic plate shifted and wrecked the flow for a hot minute, and then it got back in the flow again.
Yeah.
Great fucking show though. Like, oh, I'm all over that. Give me more of that. More of that. I don't know if it's just because I watched it today, and it's still fresh in my mind. But I'm like, yes, great. Yeah. It's fantastic. Yeah. Should we jump on to our next segment?
The news. Yes.
Time to jump into the rest.
Lay it on me, John. What news do you have?
What news do I have? Let me lay it on you. I will go find my document of where the news was. And let me tell you, there was so much news this week. I'm lying, guys. There wasn't that much interesting news, if I'm totally honest.
I mean, the biggest story in wrestling right now is a storyline on another wrestling podcast. So
yeah, that's you want to you told me the Pat McAfee one.
No.
Oh, for a second, what you were saying, like, oh, Pat McAfee. I was like, okay, we can talk about the Pat McAfee one.
No,
let's not talk about the Pat McAfee one. Just bear with me 1 second here. My computer, which is scary because this is where the stream is being.
Let's start with In terms, speaking from inside the WWE universe, like it's the second coming of the Messiah because Roman Reigns has returned to save us from the low ratings.
Yeah, he's came back with wonderful chompers. You see those teeth? What the hell? Like, no harm. Like, I'm sure Roman's a lovely guy in real life. What are those teeth? What are those teeth? He looks like Brian from the Family Guy. Hey, you see those memes? It's hard to actually, like, not see now, if I'm honest. It's just,
Yeah, he came back in the main event of SummerSlam attacking Strowman and The Fiend. Is it already confirmed that it's a triple threat at Payback this Sunday for the title?
Yeah, so when I saw the match graphic, it showed Roman, Braun, and Bray. So yeah, it looks like a triple threat, which is interesting because they're also doing a multi-man match for the NXT one as well next week. So, but that's for a different thing we'll cover in a wee second. But yeah, so we got Roman back, and
so my first reaction to this was a little bit cynical because I said it's stupid to bring him back now because you can't blame the lack of fan interest on the lack of top stars when you bring him back. You know, what are you actually going to say during the next investors call? Is it the Thunderdome? Is that why they only have the Thunderdome until the end of October, so they can blame that for the ratings?
See, that's what I was thinking as well. Like, try and give things short shelf life. Like, was Raw Underground a thing this week? I have not been paying attention. Was Raw Underground still a thing?
Yeah, but they cut most of the segments because Vince McMahon.
McMahon did again.
Was writing the show 1 hour into taping it. Or broadcasting it.
God, he done it again.
Yeah. Apparently, he arrived at 7:30 p.m. and tore up the entire script.
What? Why is he doing this?
And they shot a couple of Raw Underground segments for that they never aired.
Okay, so maybe that'll come next week then. Maybe.
Yeah.
Next bit of news that we had, Karrion Kross is out on injury. He separated his shoulder during his match with Keith Lee.
You could say he Finn Balor'd it.
Yes, he Finn Balor'd his shoulder, and now he's had to relinquish the belt. And now we have a fatal four-way between Johnny Gargano,
Finn Balor, and Adam Cole. Baby.
Who do you think's gonna win that? Just if you're just a guess off the top of your head.
I honestly couldn't tell you. In my fantasy world, Tommaso Ciampa would win and never let go of Goldie.
He did turn heel again. Yeah. So Tommaso Ciampa is back being a big dirty boy again. So there could be credence to that there. I think if they're really, really smart, they give it to Finn. Because he's the only one that's not held that belt in that lineup in like the longest time. They're all former champions. He would be the one that is the most former of those champions. And I think it's a fresher take, if you ask me. You know, put it on Finn. Let Finn do some stuff with it. I'm always a big fan of Finn. Finn's a good worker. He can be very charismatic in his own weird way. Even if you want to go back to when he was a real rock and roller, the man who established the Club of Bullets, you know.
Finn Balor is so underutilized in WWE. Even in squash matches, he excels. Like for example, for last week's show, I rewatched the debut of The Fiend against Finn Balor at SummerSlam. The Fiend basically murdered him, but Finn Balor still looked like $1 million. No, he looked like $10 million.
He's an exceptional talent in a really... Well, he's in the better. I'll give him some credit. He's in the better section of WWE, but he's an exceptional talent that doesn't get his just reward or his fair dues. And it'd be great if he was just given another great run with it. Like, I think Finn can if you just give him the time, he will make chicken salad out of chicken shit. He really will. He's good like that, you know? And he's an Irish boy as well. We love Irish boys.
You said the dirty word, John.
I've constantly said dirty words. I forget
We're
how.
gonna get demonetized now.
We don't even make money off this podcast. What do you mean demonetized?
I have to put $5 in the swear jar.
You do that, and then at the end of the year, we'll have a lovely drink. We'll buy one from it.
I think by the amount I would have to put in there, I could buy a house at the end of the year.
We are very dirty boys in that respect. But this,
I'm trying my best.
we're trying our best. It's best to try and not succeed than to not try at all. You're right.
That's why it's always funny. As soon as we go off the air, I start bringing up the F-bombs. My entire vocabulary starts only being comprised of F-bombs.
I learned a rule in YouTube that apparently you're allowed to say the naughty words after the 2-minute mark. And so, by starting our podcast 5 minutes earlier and letting it go live, it gave us the grace to say the dirty words. Strategic strategies, my friends. But you know,
let's get going.
Okay, well, I'll just say the C word next. No, you said get going. This news, though, if we're getting back to the news, plays into another bit of news, though. We had a massive call-up. And when I say a massive call-up, we're not saying because he's the biggest star in the world, but because he is just a big load of athletic girth. We have
Thank
Mr.
you for
Keith.
saying that.
Not a problem. Athletic girth TM. We have Keith Lee joining the Raw roster, who got a substantial amount of, I won't call it flack, but critical feedback for WWE, where they changed his entrance music and his ring gear, and I believe the music has been changed because they are now trying to distance themselves from CFO, as CFO gets 50% of the royalties off the music.
Yeah, it's all about the money. Yeah.
That's
Apparently, the new entrance theme he's got now is only for the moment. Apparently, he's going to get a better one, but yeah, they changed his gear as well. Like, they need to cover him up because you're only allowed if you carry around a little bit more weight in WWE, bodily weight. You're only allowed to show your upper body if you're a comedy character like Otis.
Yeah.
You know, noticed early on Otis Dozovich used to wear a shirt.
Yeah, because they were trying to make him an actual entity of an established, like.
And then he became the haha funny fat man, and they made him wrestle in speedos and stuff like that. So
he's the haha funny fat man with the Money in the Bank briefcase and Mandy Rose as a kayfabe girlfriend. It's weird because he's achieved the fat lad's dream. He's got the ticket to paradise and he's banging the pretty girl. I don't know what is meant to be funny about that. You know.
Then again, on this week's episode of Raw, one of the Viking Raiders got the Bachelorette by offering her a drumstick. So.
God damn it! God damn it!
Yeah. What is it in WWE with fat men, food, and hot blondes?
It's clearly the Holy Trinity in WWE. You're a fat lad. You're gonna have comedy, food, and blondes.
Yeah.
The fat lad Holy Trinity of WWE. But more importantly, though, these things kind of overshadowed the fact that Keith Lee went against Randy Orton in his opening match and his opening feud, which is a big feckin' deal. Like, say what you will about the master of the rest hold, you know? When it comes to Rest Hold City himself, he's still a very established name. He's still an entity that when you're put to work with him shows that the brass have some sort of belief in you, right?
That's the optimistic way of looking at it. Let's see what happens come Sunday, because in WWE's mind, he could just be another stepping stone to prolong this feud with between Drew and Randy. I can see Orton defeating him on Sunday.
That would be a shame. And I thought actually the Drew stepping stone was an elongation to Edge, because obviously we're still waiting for that rubber match for Edge. I don't know. I feel like if they do that to Keith Lee, who is ungodly over in NXT when it still had crowds, like he is a massive draw. He is a loved entity and character. If they job him out to Randy that fast, I don't know what to say. I've
been looking at the history of NXT call-ups. They don't have a great track record. I believe it when I see it.
Yeah, you're right. You're not wrong. I just don't like to see it. You know, I'm still there where I'm kind of like, I know this is going to happen, but god damn it, I don't want it to. you know.
Yeah, Keith Lee. We've talked about it a little bit last week. He's probably one of the greatest, if not the greatest, big man wrestler out there at the moment. Yeah,
like,
so it's a shame you don't want to see it.
He's athletic, he's strong, and he is nimble. He is shockingly nimble. And you know, it's just one of those ones where we know it's going to end up resulting in something terrible, and I don't want it to. I don't know. What is there anything else we want to talk about?
Do you have anything else lined up?
We know that not Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville is going to be going a little bit AFK from AFK. What a weird way of saying it. But she's away from keyboard to WWE because the actual threat to her personal life has become too much. Like, even after that incident that happened with her previously, she's still getting awful threats, and her ex-partner.
For people who don't know what happened, a stalker broke into her house last week, and she managed to escape. Yeah, so she's safe from that, but that's like a big scare. And well, they caught the guy. There's now a trial.
There's a trial, and there's also been other people making threats. She's working closely with the local authorities to make sure everyone's okay. But like, it's just a scummy move. It's just actions of a scumbag being pure scum, and then the follow-ups of them being scum as well. Whoever is the ones making these additional threats. But she is she's taken a well-needed step back to make sure that her safety's in place, and our thoughts are with her, because obviously that's not a nice thing to go through. The psychological impact that could have on a person is severe, damaging, and a lesson to be learned from here is that if you think that if you even have an inclination of what you're doing might be intruding in someone else's life, not even a wrestler's life, someone else's life, the likelihood is that they're going to perceive it as 10 times worse than you think it is. So don't fucking do it.
Word.
We are to now move on to the next interesting segment, I feel like.
Yeah.
Freed.
How about you changed a little a title on our video? I'll give us a little bit of the intro.
Alrighty then.
Well, hello there, YouTube. Welcome to our very first Powerbotch Top 10. Today we will be counting down the top 10 weirdest wrestling match types. How about we start with number 10, John?
Number 10. Did you want me to give mines for number 10? I can give you mines for number 10. 1 second, I have so many fucking documents.
It's a shark cage match.
It's a shark cage match, which I don't know if any of you are aware of, but like the shark cage match.
Watching our first top 10 list.
Yeah, the shark cage match. If you are not sure what the shark cage match was, it was quite a popular one back in the AWA days and the NWA days, and it was a terribly crafted match where the two individuals would be in the actual cage. Now, modern day shark cages have the shark cage above the ring to stop someone from being involved, and usually there's some chicanery where a key is dropped or some sort of item is dropped from the cage that influence the match. No. Back in the 80s and the 70s, this was a match where the two individuals were in a cage about 2 feet wide, 2 to 3 feet wide, squared, in the center of a ring, and they would be stuck inside this cage at the same time, just lamping each other. And the idea behind it was that the person got out of the cage and then closed the cage on the other person would be deemed the winner. It was a weird match that, honestly, when you go back and watch it, is a boring travesty because there's only so much two lads, especially if they have got a fair amount of athletic girth on them, can do in a 3x3 square foot cage.
Yeah.
What a
Right now on YouTube,
terrible-
you can find the Shark Cage match between Chief J Strongbow and Bulldog Don Kent, and the crowd is hot for this match. So you see what happens when you get the Young Bucks? They killed the business. You could excite people with a freaking Shark Cage match.
I watched that match and if I suspend my disbelief, it was an exciting match, all right. The part where he almost punched him because he's almost able to get his cock his arm back to hit him. Oh, that was something else. The part where he actually got his arm out of the cage to get a solid punch in. Oh, hot stuff right there. No, it was terrible. It was boring. It was meh.
Number 9, the Hogpen match. If you only know WWE from recent times, you might remember the match between Santino Marella, or Santina Marella as he was in this match, against Vicky Guerrero. That was the rubber match of the Miss WrestleMania Battle Royale that Santino Marella won. We will get into this whenever. But the one I want to talk about is the Hogpen match between one Hunter Hearst Helmsley versus Henry Godwin. And I got a little book featuring Triple H here, and I want to read you a quote from this. I knew rolling around in pig S-word would one day take me to the top.
Wow, did he legit write that in his book?
Yeah, it's the caption underneath the picture of him rolling in pig S-word.
Who would have thought that? I don't know if Triple H being sarcastic or not in that there. I don't know the way he is wrote. I assume it's meant to be self-autobiographical, right? Or is this meant to be okay? So I don't know the cadence in which he delivered that line compared to the rest of the stuff he talks about in that book. But to me, that smacks of sarcasm.
I think he, in this chapter, he talks himself up of being a company man and just doing whatever to prove he's willing to do what they tell him to do. So,
and this comes off the back. You were telling me this comes off the back of a very specific event.
Yeah, after the curtain call, Triple H was placed in the doghouse by the WWE. He was supposed to win King of the Ring, which was the year that Austin won it.
Yes, he was then. He was then surrogate supplanted into that match into that booking.
Yeah. But Triple H got to roll around in pig shite, and live pigs were driven around him by Henry Godwin. You can watch it on YouTube.
Really, is that on YouTube as well?
Just the ending bit.
Oh, okay. Because there was a very famous line after that, after the curtain call incident, where Vince McMahon did say you're gonna have to eat plates and plates of shit and like it. So
I don't mean the curtain call is on YouTube. I was talking about
I just
ending
mean
of the.
I mean the symbolism of that more so that he said that, and then next thing you know he's in a hog pen match with a load of dung. There is a lively weird intricate symbolism in there, right?
You know how they say in WWE, you gotta grab the brass ring and eat shite.
I mean, it's probably covered in shite, let me tell you.
Number 8!
Number 8 indeed. We've got the scaffold match. And again, we're going back to NWA, WCW, AWA classics with the scaffold match. These were pretty much matches where your team or your individuals were placed on one side or the other of this scaffold construction with a very narrow bridge without any sort of supports on either end. And competitors had to compete one way or another to win. One of the most noted ones was Bobby Eaton and PNUs facing off against Terry Taylor and Steve Austin, and the format they done it in, which was honestly just the biggest load of crap, was almost a capture the flag format. You could tell that the guys were unsteady in their actual movements. They were worried about falling over and falling off and really hurting themselves. You can't do any moves up there. Again, like the Shark Cage match, it's heavily restricting in what you can do. It's not a lot of fun to watch. And what we'll see by a different entry in relation to the scaffold match incredibly dangerous, because another noted scaffold match was the New Jack Vic Grimes match, where New Jack went out of his way as a part of retaliation for a previous spot botched, I think maybe a year previously, where he then threw Vic Grimes off the actual scaffold on purpose with the intent to kill him. It was just...
He has said as much, yeah.
That's not me speculating. That is the words out of Mr. New Jack's mouth. And if it wasn't for the ropes that caught Vic Grimes as he was falling, he probably would have been killed. And my God, what the hell, New Jack? You scurry beast.
And to add a little bit of continuity, a person some people know as Jim Cornette these days fell from the scaffold in, what was it, Starrcade 1986, I believe, Midnight Express versus Road Warriors. He fell really awkwardly from it, tore a bunch of ligaments. You hear him in a really high-pitched whining voice when he's carried out.
Yeah, he legitimately injured himself in that one. I think that was the first bump he took, and he took the biggest one. That was kind of like trial by fire on that one. What an awful set of circumstances. But it brings us to,
speaking of fire, number 7, the Anus Explosion Deathmatch, also called the Anal Bomb Deathmatch. Where else but in Japan, in FMW Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling. A person known as H wrestled. Some sources call him Mr. Ganosuke. Some sources call him Fake Hayabusa. The objective of this match was to place a firecracker inside the anus of your opponent and light it on fire and make it explode. Match ended by, I believe, Fake Hayabusa handcuffing H in the turnbuckle, pulling down his pants. The crowd reaction is wonderful for this bit. Placing the firecracker in there, lighting it, and it explodes in his freaking anus.
Can we watch that match? Is that on YouTube?
The ending is.
Oh, I'm gonna source that one. I want to watch that match for its full. I need to see how this anus explodes. I need to see. It's like the whole thing. I need to see the meat go into the pie.
You see the best part, the anus explosion part. The rest of the match, I don't think it is on YouTube, but you can find the ending.
I need the struggle. I need the struggle of a high explosive going up a man's jacksie. I need the tension.
Yeah, but what about tension? I think number 6 can tell us something about tension.
Well, you want to have tension. Let me tell you about what I have lovingly labeled the Russo special. It's polls matches, and we're not talking about any old poll match. We're talking about the Vince Russo specific ones. Most notably, the Judy Bagwell on a pole match, which wasn't even Judy Bagwell on a damn pole, because you can't put a 250-pound woman on a pole. They had to literally bring her out on a actual massive what's it called again?
A forklift?
Forklift, thank you very much. A forklift, and I think the commentary even did say that, or maybe there was like some sort of cut promo about her being a fat ass and having to be put on the forklift. And let me tell you, only Vince Russo can put a person on a forklift and call it something on a pole match, but that was nothing. Like, Vince Russo was the master of these pole escapades. I mean, he also had a Viagra on a pole match, and I think that was due to what's the fat chick thriller? I can't remember the specific on that one, but Vince Russo, the man who will tell you brought you the Attitude Era. To some extent, yeah, he kind of did. We'll not take that away from him. Also brought you the demise of WCW, and this is how he done it, with stupid pole matches.
And he gave TNA and WWE a new match type to bore their audiences to death. Who doesn't remember such classic matches as Alexa Bliss versus Bailey in a candlestick on a pole match, which didn't bury the babyface Bailey back then. It didn't. It did.
What a.
Speaking of burying people, number 5, the Concrete Crypt match.
Take us for it. I'm intrigued by this one, actually.
This was shortly after The Undertaker recovered from his biker midlife crisis and returned to the Dead Man gimmick. He was managed again by Paul Bearer. Paul Heyman, the other Paul. No, there are 3 Pauls because Triple H is also there. That's the different joke. Paul Heyman ordered the Dudley Boys to kidnap Paul Bearer in order to control The Undertaker. You remember in the good old times with the urn and stuff? Yeah, Paul Bearer could control The Undertaker. And by controlling Paul Bearer, Paul Heyman hope to gain power, I don't know. Anyway, at the Great American Bash 2004, The Undertaker fought the Dudley Boys in a handicap match. And the stipulation was if he didn't beat them fast enough, Paul Bearer was going to drown in cement. He was placed in this big plastic plexiglass box, and cement was pouring in steadily. Well, The Undertaker beat the Dudley Boys,
I remember
stopped the cement from flowing in there, and it was like, this Paul Bearer guy, he's kind of a liability, kind of my Achilles heel, so let's kill a man on TV.
Yeah,
The Undertaker murdered him.
They straight up just murdered him, right? Like, it was just like, no, because that was his last appearance before Percy Pringle sadly passed away.
Not true.
Really?
I researched that. He occasionally managed The Undertaker between 2010 and 2012.
I thought that was his last appearance. Really? Okay.
They actually brought him back, yeah.
Weird, okay. I thought that was his last appearance. That's what's been cited to me. Well, fair enough. Do we go on to the next one?
I mean, we've just killed a man. Can we kill another man in number 4?
We can certainly kill a man in number 4. We have the Chamber of Horrors. This happened at Halloween Havoc 1991, and probably one of the most overbooked, stupid matches that Vince Russo was not involved in. We have El Gigante, who was who in WWE he was the guy in the weird sprayed suit, the Fist Undertaker. That the
John
former
Gonzalez.
John Gonzalez, yes. So we have El Gigante, Sting, and the Steiner brothers facing off against Abdullah the Butcher, who's been known for way more brutal matches than this, if I'm totally honest. The actual debut of I'm going to call him a wrestling royalty, maybe a wrestling monarch of Scott Hall as the Diamond Stud, as well as Cactus Jack and Big Van Vader. It was pretty much a 4-on-4, an 8-man. I wouldn't even call it 8-man tag, but it was a 4-on-4 match. And this match was just straight up lunacy. They had people in coffins at ring sides with random weapons. There was like a kill switch on this, which looked like a kind of a cell. Then at one point there was an electric chair that was lowered down into the center of the ring. It was so strange. The idea behind it was that you're meant to put your opponent in the chair, flick the kill switch, and murder your opponent during Halloween Havoc. It was woefully bad. It was terrible. Cactus Jack at one point was actually at the switch too early, and the switch was already flipped because of just inertia in the cage. Like, he didn't even flip it himself. He had to flip it back up. He also was like constantly looking over to make sure he had the right person in the chair. But no, obviously the big overbooking part was that Abdullah was free into the chair at the last second. Cactus Jack pulls the switch, kills Abdullah the Butcher. Spoilers, he fucking doesn't. Abdullah, he gets back up and starts attacking Cactus Jack, and then the match just kind of ends where like Abdullah's just fighting off these random jobbers and white powder goes everywhere. It's a really stupid match.
Haven't you listened to Taz? The neck of Abdullah the Butcher is so strong that an electric chair doesn't affect him.
What are you talking about? What the hell? Seriously? Okay.
No, that was Brian Cage in the Paradigm Shift. But I felt
so
like
similar.
it would apply to an electric chair.
Oh, yes. Then we have number 3.
Yeah, how about we go from kayfabe killing people to getting really close to actually hurting people? The Hellfire Death Match. apparently the very popular landmine death matches they've been doing in Japan. Oh yeah, it's another Japanese match, of course. The landmine matches were getting a little bit expensive, and they thought to themselves, what if we wrap around the barbed wire ropes, because of course it's barbed wire ropes, a cloth soaked in a paraffin, and light those on fire. It's in the actual match, it's Sabu and the original Sheik versus Atsushi Onita and Tarzan Goto in 1992 FMW. They light those clothes on fire. You've seen an Inferno match in WWE, right?
Yeah, they're quite tame, actually. They're kind of boring.
Yeah. Picture that, but the entire ring is on fire now.
We talking like every rope, or just the top rope, or
there are no ropes, it's barbed wire, but the ring catches fire. You can't actually see inside the ring because it's just surrounded by fire. The building had to be evacuated because it was a fire danger. 4 people still in the ring, all of them get severe burns, like really severe burns. It's close to a miracle that nobody got hospitalized, like seriously hospitalized from this stuff.
Jesus.
It was a stupid idea. Like this should be in one of the first things when you set up a wrestling promotion is like never set your ring on fire.
Yeah, that should be common sense, but you know, Japan just likes to bring it to a little bit of an extreme. We are talking about the federations that put piranhas in a tank and had opponents force themselves into the tank and then put wood over it. So I guess, you know, nothing should shock us with Japan at this point.
But to call back to the Inferno match, this ring was an actual Inferno. It's brutal.
Can we catch it on YouTube?
Yeah, of course you can.
Fantastic. Going to watch that later.
How about number 2?
Number 2 is the stupidest, and I said this a few times, but this is truly the stupidest match that I could find. And this is the Golden Record contract ladder match between Free Count and the Young Dragons. And essentially, this is like any other like ladder match. Like, we were looking at these ladder matches and we are trying to think which ones we should put in there. And there's been some really stupid things that have been put on ladder matches. And there's been some great things. Like, we've had Money in the Bank, great thing. Really stupid thing, custody of a kid. You know, there's times that, you know, there's other sides of the spectrum. You can be really brilliant or really terrible. Well, you thought custody of a kid was pretty bloody stupid to put on a ladder match.
Sorry, I'm dying.
Just wait for this one. In WCW, in another piece of overbooked trash, we have Free Counts, a record contract, and Golden Record individually put up in a ladder match and up for grabs against the Young Dragons. It was essentially a handicap match, first of all, and this is stupid because at one point, Free Count grabs the gold record instead of the recording contract, and to me, that's stupid because, like, oh, do I go for the thing that was assigned that I made some music, or do I go for the thing that pays me to make music and release more music? But no, he went for the record. I don't even understand why the other thing was there. Was it meant to make Free Count look like an idiot? Because it worked. And, you know, it's one of these situations where you shouldn't have multiple items above the ring, especially if they're not of equal value. But WCW, when it came to its booking post 1999, clearly just could not follow the path well. Like, they'd be on something and they would make a great build for something, and then they would get distracted and fall off a cliff constantly. They could never reach the destination, and this is just a sign of them taking gimmicks and taking, well, really stupid gimmicks in the first place, because Free Count wasn't very good at rapping. It was quite terrible to begin with. So I'm quite glad that his contract was put up for grabs.
Could you say he was the John Cena of hip hop?
He wasn't even that good. He was worse than that. And I would even give credit that John Cena could do some rappings. But no, this was terrible. This was god awful. Like, stop putting weird crap on ladders is basically the moral of the story, you know? Keep your legally binding obligations to the courtroom, not a feckin' ladder.
No, that's not how you do it in the wrestling world. You gotta fight for your right
to make terrible music, because that's what happened.
Yeah, of course. Before we get to number one, guys, if you want to see more top 10s like this, let us know in the comments, because I've got a whole cornucopia of other weird stipulations. We could possibly do a part 2 of this. So let's finally get into number one, the eye for an eye match. And let me explain this. All the other stipulations we've talked about were weird, were bizarre, were boring, were stupid. But this match breaks kayfabe, because the victory condition of this is something they cannot deliver. And yes, I'm talking about the WWE Eye for an Eye match, Seth Rollins versus Rey Mysterio, where you win the match by removing an eye of your opponent. Let me repeat this. You win by removing your opponent's eye. That's something you can't deliver. So you have suspension of disbelief in wrestling anyway. But this kicks this stuff right out the door. Throws all logic out of the door. The Young Bucks killing the business. No, the eye for an eye match is killing the business. Jim Cornette, you listening? Eye for an eye match. Killing the business.
And like, don't get us wrong, there was technically an eye for an eye match in Dynamite months before. Difference was that the eyes were already extracted or blinded before that match between Santana and Jon Moxley. They didn't have to win by taking another eye out. Yeah. It was just a blood feud.
And then on top of that, you botch this stuff because it's an eye for an eye. Somebody takes my eye, I take their eye. This didn't happen. The guy who lost his eye again, and he was the good guy.
Yeah, like Mysterio was already blinded, and then they just done it, and we know why they done it. It was done for an easy out in case he didn't sign a contract.
Yeah, and on top of all of that, a face could never win this match. How can you be a babyface if you go like, oh yeah, I removed this guy's eye. It was easy.
Yeah, like it's an immediate heel turn. Like you've just, it's like, there's no bigger heel turn than blinding a man forever.
Ripping out an eye out of their socket.
Yeah. Such a stupid concept. Like, I mean, it's not as overbooked or over elaborate compared to some of our previous entries, but it is stupid in a way that just breaks everything. And don't get me wrong, we talked about Abdullah the Butcher attempted to be murdered by a fake electric chair. We talked about actual attempted murder with New Jack, and we talk about fanatically stupidity of lighting a ring on fire. But it didn't go against the characters, and wrestling is a character-driven sport. It was stupid.
Yeah.
I just checked. Mr. Blue in the chat said WCW and Bam Bigelow versus Brad Knobbs in a fall counts anywhere when the match ended in the count out.
Oh yeah, I've come across that in my research.
I saw that as well. Again, WCW post 1999, a crock of shit. I always kind of want to make us watch like a year of WCW for the podcast at some point.
An entire year, okay. We need to talk about this offline.
52 weeks of it, of us just like reviewing WCW matches.
I mean, if AEW ever goes on break, we can talk about this maybe.
Yeah. Just thinking about it, like, we need to subject ourselves to this hell at some point, I think.
We should make that as a subscriber goal or something.
Yeah, definitely. We'll work that out, though. But yes, guys, that was our top 10 weirdest wrestling matches. Obviously, as Freed said, let us know if you want to see more of this stuff. We could go into more weird wrestling matches, but also we could broach different topics, and we have been talking about other topics that we think that would fit the format that we could do every so often if you are that way inclined or interested. I think that brings us to the end of the podcast. What do you think, Mr. Freed?
Johnny, sing us home.
Well, of course, let's bring us home, guys. If you have enjoyed the podcast, I would ask you to hit the like button right now. Hit it good. Give it a wee touch. I want to see that thumbs up. Caress it. Just caress that thumb gently, but then you clicked it there. See, do that all the time. I want to see that in every video release. If you want to see more of the live streams as they go live every Friday, hit the subscribe button. Turn on the notification bell. That way you don't miss out on the live stream as it goes live. I know that some people tend to miss the live streams for one reason or another. What we do is we cut out segments of the live streams. We try and give you in digestible format some of the best parts or what we think are some of the more interesting parts of the podcast for the week, and we just kind of lace that through the following week to give you a little bit of catch-up snippets here and there, as well as some of our special segments. So you always look out for that there. Give them a wee share if you think they're good. Give them a wee like as well if you like them, all of that good stuff. But I have been John. I've not been freed. I was about to say I've been freed. That'd be a great gimmick change. I've been joined by the wonderful Freed. If you want to catch Freed, though, let me tell you.
Oh, that's right. I'm Freed. I'm not PVG.
You're not PVG, sadly. You do a better job of it, if you ask me. But you can catch Mr. Freed at twitch.tv, Freed /Freed_1. On top of that, there, if you want to find me, you can find me in two different places. You can find me on Twitter at OdinPVG, or you can find me over Twitch 5 days a week, usually, doing the streams in a video game format. Twitch.tv /Odin, or no, not OdinPVG, it's PVG. Too many PVGs up in this joint. But anyway, do you want to send us home here, Mr. Freed?
Yes, I would like to read one of my favorite lines I've ever read in a book. I knew rolling around in pig shit would one day take me to the top.
Jesus
Peace.
Christ. Have a good one, guys.